Coming up on Vegas Nation Blitz, we dive into the Raiders' 2020 schedule. Will the Silver and Black finally make it to the playoffs in the team's inaugural year in Las Vegas? We also hear from Vegas Nation podcast hosts Heidi Fang and NFL reporter Adam Hill as they break down the rest of the AFC West schedules. And our special guest this week was signed by the Raiders as an undrafted free agent and has strong Las Vegas ties. All of that and more coming up on Vegas Nation Blitz.
Excited to know where we're going to be playing. And excited to have a city that is excited about having us.
We are now the Las Vegas Raiders.
Welcome in, everyone, to Vegas Nation Blitz. I am your host, Cassie Soto. While the Raiders release their 2020 schedule, and we now know that September 21st will be that grand opening, the home opener of Allegiant Stadium and the Las Vegas Raiders. They will face off against Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints on September 21st for some Monday Night Football. Here to help us dive into that schedule is Las Vegas Review-Journal Raiders beat writer Vinny Bonsignore. Vinny, that Week 2 game seems like it's been a long time coming, but aside from the glitz and the glamour of what will be that home opener, how do you think that the Raiders will fare against the Saints and that future Hall of Fame QB?
Well, this is a game that I'm suspecting the Raiders offense is really going to need to show up. The Saints score points. There's no question about it. The Raiders defense, while a whole bunch of new faces, that's a good thing, but it also is going to be a challenge early on, especially with the limited kind of an offseason that they're going to have. A team like the Saints, and specifically Drew Brees and Sean Payton, they can exploit you pretty easily if you're not, once they sense that you're not on the right page. Short of that, the Raiders offense needs to show up. They're going to have to score 30 points or more to win that game. And so it'll be a great litmus test for where Derek Carr and this new offense, the offensive weapons that he has, where they are.
Well, the schedule doesn't get much easier from there, Vinny. The Raiders continue to face playoff teams, this time heading to Foxborough for Week 3.
Yeah, and when you in and of itself, that's a difficult challenge, going across the country. But it'll be the second time in 3 weeks that the Raiders do it, and it'll be on a short week because they play the Saints on Monday night. So you got to wipe out a day of preparation, basically, to account for that. I guess the good thing, we don't know who the Patriots quarterback is going to be. It's crazy that we're even talking along those type of terms, but Tom Brady is no longer there. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be, and I think that early in the season for the Patriots themselves trying to get some things together, that could be a game where the Raiders could go in there and steal a win against a normally really good team, but we don't know what the dynamics are going to be in place for the Patriots at that point in the season.
Well, Week 4 has them back at home versus the Bills. How do you see that matchup going?
Well, another playoff team, but I think that, the Bills are going to come in and they're going to try to slug it out. That's what they do. And, they've got a quarterback that's a tremendous athlete. He's a weapon, both as a thrower, but even more than that as a runner, and a tough runner at that. But I think that's a game where, again, I don't expect the Bills to come into Las Vegas and throw up 35 points. If that happens, then it's a disaster day for the Raiders. I think if the Raiders defense can keep it somewhat close, 17, 20 points, I think that's reasonable to expect them to hold the Bills to. Then Derek Carr and the offense should be in pretty decent shape, getting to that 24, 27, 28 point range. If they could do that, I think they'll be in good shape in that game. But it's a tough team.
Well, last one for you, Vinny, here moving on to Week 5. If the Raiders are struggling at this point, I think it is safe to say that we'll probably expect another blowout in Kansas City.
Yeah, tough place to go play. What works out for the Raiders this year is it's not going to be in the bitter cold. It'll be probably fairly pleasant by that time of year, maybe a little bit still, humid in Kansas City. But it's obviously that it's Patrick Mahomes and the world champion, Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs on the road after playing what I think is a pretty tough 4-game runway. But that's what makes it so much more important that they take care of business ahead of that game. It's a tough place to go play Kansas City anytime, but they're riding high right now. So I'm not saying that you go in there expecting to lose. You go in there to compete. But if you could take care of business prior to that, then a loss isn't going to be a crushing loss. It'll be just, okay, let's bounce back, get after it again next week type of a loss. But it's important, again, for them to be in good shape going into that game.
All right, Vinny. Well, the countdown is on to the 2020 season. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, Cassie.
Well, we do love hearing our experts' opinions, but we also love hearing from you, the fans. So here to give us more on that is Las Vegas Review-Journal social media manager Adrian Iadarko. Adrian, what are the fans saying about the first ever Las Vegas Raiders schedule?
Yeah, so we put a Twitter poll up on Vegas Nation and asked fans, which game are you most excited about? And 44% of fans said Game 2 versus the Saints. Now, this is the Allegiant Stadium opener. It's Monday Night Football, prime time. You have the explosive Saints offense coming to town. And then you have the two biggest party cities in America coming together with New Orleans and Las Vegas in Las Vegas. So it should be a sight to see.
It is definitely going to be a party come that home opener, Adrian. Well, we also heard from head coach John Gruden. What did he say about the schedule that stood out to you? Yeah,
I love his attitude. He said we'll play anybody, anywhere, on any time zone. And it's just a very Raider attitude. Just win, baby, right? So, when your coach has this type of mentality and swagger, it really goes a long way in the locker room and gives all the players a lot of confidence. So I love him just kind of setting the tone and the culture for the Raiders here.
Well, Adrian, we were always looking out for the fans. So can you tell us what Vegas Nation did to make it easy for fans to get a hold of that 2020 schedule?
Yeah, we put up our Vegas Nation Raiders schedule. It's on all our social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So make sure you check it out. It has the dates, the times, the TV stations where you can find the game. So it's a great resource for all Raiders fans. So make sure to go to our social media, take a screenshot, save it to your phone, and keep it with you all season.
Last one for you, Adrian. Where can fans go if they want to sound off on the Raiders of the 2020 season?
Yeah, follow us at Vegas Nation on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we also just launched the Vegas Nation Fan Zone. You can go to fanzone.vegasnation.com and talk Raiders 24/7 there.
Adrian, thank you so much. Well, fans, you will want to stick around after the break because we will be joined by a Raiders undrafted free agent who knows a thing or two about playing football right here in Las Vegas. Who did the Raiders play in their first ever regular season game? Was it A, the Denver Broncos, B, Houston Oilers, C, Los Angeles Chargers, or D, New York Titans? Find out the answer later on in the show. UNLV football fans could have the chance to see a familiar face suit up in silver and black this upcoming season as the Raiders signed undrafted free agent Jayven White. Joining me now is the former Rebel linebacker Jayven. Jayven, you get another chance at possibly playing and staying here in Las Vegas. How does that sound?
It sounds really good. I'm so familiar with it, and I actually love this city so much. And, just to be able to go experience my next level and my next mission in life is to be in Vegas. I honestly love it, and I love the whole tradition that's going to be around it right now.
At what point did you know that the Raiders were interested in you?
Throughout the whole draft, they kept calling me, and, they always would say, if we had a later pick, we would have picked you. They only had until the 5th round. So it was okay, and I was just so focused on the whole draft. I wasn't really paying them the mind. So then later in the draft, when all the teams that I was looking for were taking their picks and stuff, I had to kind of take the Raiders interested and take them seriously. And I was just excited, to even get a chance to stay in Vegas.
Right. Well, going undrafted doesn't mean that you won't have the opportunity to make an impact on this team, but it does mean that you maybe might have to work a little bit harder to secure your spot on the team. How does maybe playing with that sort of chip on your shoulder really motivate you to play even harder, to really want that spot?
It feels great, because I think that's way my life is always going. When I stepped into UNLV, I wasn't a high-ranked kid. I had to work to get to where I was at, and I ended my career at. So I think it's just it's basically just restart. Like at this level, I have to work and to get wherever I want to get later in life.
Well, being from Oakland, would you say that it is sort of a dream come true to get the opportunity to be a Raider yourself?
I would say that. I didn't grow up a Raider fan. I didn't have any particular fan base that I was really big on. But it's just the fact that, that all the people I knew who were Raider fans, 49er fans, just for me to be a local kid and just be able to play for them now And just to have the career I've had in Vegas is just kind of like a weird scenario right now.
Really staying with the team here. They're following you, maybe, Jayven.
Exactly.
Well, at UNLV, Jayven, you started off as a safety, then moved to linebacker. Any hints yet on what the Raiders are hoping to do with you on the field out there?
Oh, I'm gonna be playing will linebacker, so it's basically it would be our Sam at UNLV. So basically the same thing, but I feel like it's gonna be a true more linebacker in the league now. And I'm excited for it. I'm so excited that I actually get to play linebacker, a team that wanted me to play linebacker. A lot of teams felt I was going to be a safety, a box safety. So for them to actually put me at linebacker shows how much, they trust and how much enjoyment they have going me playing linebacker at that level.
Well, what are you sort of doing now? We know everything is virtual, obviously, but what are you doing to really keep in shape and to help secure your spot on the team when it comes time for you to get on the field?
Honestly, I haven't lost a beat, really and truly. I haven't been able to work out at the max level I was doing right before, but, I'm still in the gym working out. I'm still being able to condition and run, and I feel great. I'm still being able to eat the way I want to eat, and I'm excited for this thing to start opening up and get ready.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you were bummed when you graduated from UNLV a year before the team was set to play in Allegiant Stadium, but now hopefully maybe getting an opportunity to be in that stadium yourself. How exciting would that be?
It's going to be really, truly exciting. I wasn't really mad that I didn't get to play in Allegiant Stadium. I was happy they had an upgrade. And, just for me to be playing at the highest level with a different jersey on is going to be even better.
Yeah, and what are you most looking forward to being at this next level now, an NFL player? What are you most looking forward to be able to do?
Honestly, just the way I could brand my name, to get it out there. Football is only a certain aspect of your life. I can brand my name in so much other things. I plan on, as soon as I get a chance, I want to film my own little community charity games back in the Bay Area. So I'm already looking for a dodgeball tournament, a little stuff just to get the community active. I'm ready to, get sponsorships, by Vegas, because I've been out here for so long that, it's a familiar face. They can see me. I have a Cinderella story. I went to UNLV, being from the Bay Area. This is all like a little dream, come true.
Well, I've talked to a lot of guys who are new Las Vegas Raiders, but I've never been to Las Vegas. What would you sort of advice you'd give to them, to keep your head straight and, you can make the most out of this city?
Honestly, you work hard and you do what you're supposed to do. This is the perfect city, to enjoy yourself when you have off time. It's a perfect city, the day clubs, the nightclubs, being able to go outside and go to Nelson's Landing and do cliff jumping. Vegas is really nice, honestly. It's a very big community, I would say, and it's just growing each day.
All right, Jayven. Well, best of luck to you this offseason.
Thank you.
Coming up next, our very own Vegas Nation podcast host, Heidi Fang, will be joined by NFL reporter Adam Hill to give us a look at what the rest of the AFC West schedules look like for the 2020 season. The answer is B, Houston Oilers. They played on September 11th, 1960 at Kezar Stadium in San Francisco. The Raiders lost 37-22.
Welcome back to the Vegas Nation Blitz. I'm your Vegas Nation podcast host, Heidi Fang, and I'm joined with our NFL writer, Adam Hill. We're going to talk a little bit here about the AFC West and how things will shake out throughout the season now that we've seen the 2020 schedule. We know that the Chiefs have been at the top and the reigning dogs of this division for quite some time, but who will vie for that second place spot in this division this year, assuming everything plays out as we anticipate? Adam, I'd love to bring you in here and just kind of to see what you think about these AFC West opponents and how the Raiders will stack up this year when you look at the overall landscape on their 2020 schedule.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think most people that analyze the AFC West look at it and say the Chiefs are the defending champion. They're the best team again. They're probably going to win it. They're a massive favorite at the sports books to do so. And then you've got three teams that I think are pretty similar in the Chargers, Broncos, and the Raiders, who are all going to be fighting for that second place spot. And with the expanded wild card this year, with one extra team getting in, I think all three teams believe they have a chance. But the Raiders are going to have to navigate that early part of the schedule and at least be in position. I think it sets up favorably for them down the stretch. Tough stretch at the beginning, though. If they get through that unscathed and be close to 500, I think they'll be in very good position in the second half of the year. And Heidi, they close at Denver again. We remember last year, they went into Denver at the last game of the year. They played against them They had a chance going in to make the playoffs, but by the way things played out throughout the day, they had no chance by the end of the game. So they went for that 2-point conversion in the closing seconds. Did not work out, so they fell to 7-9. But really, that was just about trying to get out of there with no linebackers. They didn't really want the game to go on anymore. That's a memorable game. And once again, if the Raiders are in position to try to make the playoffs, they're going to have to do it through Denver in the last week.
And Denver right now, we've talked about them already a bunch of times about how they improved throughout the draft. And now that they have different weapons here for Drew Lock, I mean, things for Denver are looking pretty good. I think when you look at their improved roster, Jerry Jeudy, they have Melvin Gordon. They've done a lot of things through the offseason as well. When you look at how the Raiders played Denver last year, you mentioned the final game, but the game that happened in Oakland, what do you make of just how the Raiders are able to get past these guys when you look at how the Raiders have improved this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think on paper they both did a lot of similar things. They addressed the defense and free agency. They tried to address the offense, in particular the wide receiver position, through the draft. So it seems like they're trying to make some of the same moves and get to that next level. But the Raiders saw a pretty different Denver team early in the year than they did late in the year. Drew Lock brought a new enthusiasm to that team, and I know this offseason they've spent a lot of capital trying to build around Drew Lock. They think he's the quarterback of the future.
Okay, so we'll get into more of the Raiders and what to expect in 2020. But first, let's go back in time to look at how the Raiders were actually brought in to what we know now as the NFL when they were an AFL team in 1960. Can you imagine cheering for a senior donning orange and black uniforms? That was almost the team name and colors for the Raiders when they became a team in 1960. The Raiders were founded in January 1960 as part of the AFL, or American Football League, when a team from Minnesota, known as the Vikings, decided it would leave the AFL to join the NFL. Oakland was awarded the franchise and also inherited their draft picks from 1959 as part of the league's inaugural draft. Jim Otto, who played center and is now known as a Raiders legend, was one of those original draft picks. Why Charles Chet Soda was the original GM and Eddie Erdelatz was named the team's first head coach in February 1960. Next, the franchise needed a name and some team colors. The Oakland Tribune held a naming contest, and the prize for selecting the team name was a trip for two to Acapulco, Mexico. On April 4th, 1960, Miss Helen Davis of Oakland won for her submission of the name Oakland Seniors. But the name faced backlash from the community, who thought Soda had fixed the contest. 9 days later, the name was changed to Raiders, and Hayward resident Kendrick Martin became the new contest winner. While the Tribune reported in March 1960, per head coach Eddie Erdelatz, that the team's colors would be orange and black, similar to that of the Chicago Bears, the Raiders would don gold, black, and white uniforms in their first seasons. They didn't switch over to the silver and black until 1963, when Al Davis was brought in to coach the team. As for where the Raiders would play, well, it was in Oakland, and we'll get into that next week on This Week in Raiders History.
Welcome back, everyone, to Vegas Nation Blitz. I'm your host, Cassie Soto. Well, it looks like the road ahead will be a pricey one for Raiders fans as tickets to get into Allegiant Stadium continue to rise. Here to give us some more insight on that is Allegiant Stadium insider for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Mick Akers. Mick, as soon as the schedule was released, it seemed like fans went nuts trying to buy their tickets to Raiders home games, and it looks like they're paying top dollar to be a part of that history.
Yeah, since the regular tickets sold out, last year, the secondary market's been pretty hot right now. So according to SeatGeek, the Raiders lead in average ticket price right now at $622. That's far ahead of the Seahawks, the second place as far as price goes at $439. So obviously the Allegiant Stadium is a big draw, this season. I would imagine it'll continue to years in the future as well.
Right. And what are some of the top selling games for the Raiders right now that fans are really trying to get into there?
Yeah, so the Raiders are actually accountable for 3 of the top 5 selling games on SeatGeek. So right now, the number 1 game is against the Saints, the opener at Allegiant Stadium on Monday Night Football. Then the number 4 game against the Chiefs, the rivals, obviously a lot of interest there. And then number 5 against the Bills. Obviously, the cold weather, I would imagine they're trying to get out of there during that time and come to Vegas.
Yeah, trying to get out of Buffalo in October. That one just makes sense, and coming to Vegas instead. Well, Mick, since people are paying so much to go ahead and get into Allegiant Stadium, why don't we talk about that shiny new building? We've got some fresh drone video here from our very own videographer, Michael Quine, and I think right away you can notice, Mick, is that brand new Allegiant Stadium signage right there on the roof. That's a pretty neat addition.
Yeah, it's the first of 2. There's going to be another one on the other side of the stadium, so it's nice and big. So when you fly over, obviously when they have any night shots of the stadium, you're going to see the Allegiant Stadium. Obviously, they paid a lot of money for the founding partnership deal, so getting their money's worth there. A few other smaller signs that went up around the side that light up at night, and they have a few more slated to go up here pretty soon. I saw some of the permits pulled for those.
Yeah, well, we're about a month away from that estimated completion date of the Raiders Henderson training facility, and that thing looks just more and more complete every single day. I know you were just there taking some pictures for us, so what's the progress there?
Yeah, a lot more signage up. They have the Las Vegas Raiders right in the front there, so obviously staking their claim, it's in Henderson to the area. Another Raiders Shield logo went up next to the Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center, so now that sign's like completely done. The first one there, obviously, they're the naming rights partner on that. Another shield went up on the west-facing side. Looks like they're starting to do the initial work for the Al Davis Memorial Torch that they're going to have in the roundabout in front of the building there that they're bringing over from Oakland. So, bring a little bit of the past and bring it into the future here. So a lot of people are looking forward to that because obviously they have a new one that's going in Allegiant Stadium. So might as well use the old one while you can. And it looks like they're mapping out some of the parking features. They have some of the concrete work laid out already. So it looks like once they get some of this initial groundwork done, they're going to start doing some paving, I would imagine, pretty soon.
All right, Mick. Well, we can't wait for that. Thank you so much, as always.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Vegas Nation Blitz. If you're looking for more Raiders information on the schedule or even on Allegiant Stadium, head on over to vegasnation.com. You can also find our Vegas Nation podcast there. And while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and give us a like on our Vegas Nation Facebook page and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. For Vegas Nation Blitz, I'm Cassie Soto.